Welcome to Open House. I hope that you've got your view books and your inserts. So your view book pretty much covers everything that we're going to talk about today and all of the people that you'll get to meet today. It's your go-to resource as you're applying, as you're considering other universities for McGill. If you didn't grab a view book, please do so at the table on your way out. And then we have our wonderful insert. So the insert has your application deadlines, scholarship information, curriculum information, proof of English proficiency info. On the back, it's the most useful tool. So everything that we're going to talk about today it's on our website. It's in plain English, black and white. We don't ever hide the admission requirements from our prospective students. And on the back, we have every curriculum available for you guys. So we have IB, French bac, A-levels, etc. Other international high schools if you're coming from Turkey or somewhere else, and all the subjects that are required for each program at McGill. And then at the bottom, there's a QR code or a link that'll take you to the website where we show exactly what kind of grades we're looking for. So if you didn't grab those, please do so on your way out. We have the schedule of activities. We have a lot of fun things planned for you, namely visits to the residences. You can talk with admissions officers. So the people that will actually be reviewing your application are here for you today from 10 to 4 in Redpath Museum. So I invite you to go chat with them. They are the experts. They are genuinely the people that will be reviewing your apps. And if you need to find your way, we have maps. We don't have physical paper maps this year, just in the interest of not wasting paper. So please make sure that you have access to this info. I'll let you guys take photos. And I think we're good. Wonderful. Just briefly, so every year, every time we give a presentation in Canada, we do like to acknowledge that we're on Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee lands, unceded territory. McGill has made efforts in the past to better their relationships with our Indigenous communities here in Tiohtià:ke or Montreal, but it's an ongoing process. So, bonjour, hi, no, please come in. So we're just taking a moment to acknowledge that we are in fact on unceded territory on this campus today. So for McGill University, you're aware of us, you know about us. I don't need to tell you all that much, but we are a public institution. So in Canada, it's very rare for universities to be private. As a matter of fact, I would say less than 5% of our schools are private. So McGill is a public institution. We are an English institution as well. So everything at McGill is taught in English, with the exception of course, language courses. We're over 200 years old. If this is your first time on our campus, I urge you to take a campus tour today if you haven't registered for one. It's quite a large campus for Montreal. The campus was established before the city of Montreal. So we're a little bit older than the city itself, and we're at the base of Le Mont-Royal, which you can hike up and see a beautiful view of the city. If you have time to hike up Mont-Royal and it's not too cold for you, I encourage you to do that. You can see the Olympic Stadium, you can see the South Shore, you can probably see Expo 67 from the top. It's stunning. But the city was, developed around the campus. So we really are, when you look at a bird's eye view of the island of Montreal, at the heart of it. And of course, downtown is right across the street. We're so accessible. And we are a research-intensive school. So where other universities might pride themselves and focus on experiential learning and co-op and hands-on learning outside the classroom, McGill does that as well. But first and foremost, we are an research-intensive school. So we always encourage our students to get research experience as early as they want to. When I was at McGill, one of my friends on my floor in my residence, she was pursuing a Bachelor of Arts and Science. One major was physics, one major was literature, and she got published in her first semester for her physics degree. So she sought out an opportunity with her one of her physics professors. Hi, welcome. Have a seat. And had the opportunity to get published in an academic journal. So we will always encourage opportunities like that. We'll talk about research a little bit later. So in Montreal, we are, in my opinion, the best Canadian city. We're very different from every other Canadian metropolis. So Montreal, Vancouver, Halifax, and Toronto. Those are the four main ones, I would say. Montreal has the most character, the most personality. Montreal is extremely diverse and multicultural, so food in Montreal is incredible. I urge you to exit the 2-kilometer radius that is the McGill bubble and go explore other neighborhoods and seek out food from from places you've perhaps never traveled to. We're famous for our bagels, for sure. There are 2 bagel spots that you should try, Saint-Viateur or Fairmount. They're like a block away from each other in the Mile End, which is a beautiful neighborhood you should explore as well. We're also famous for poutine. You guys know what poutine is? Yes, sort of. French fries, gravy, squeaky cheese, or crotte de fromage, as we say in Quebec. Cheese curds are, I guess, a Quebec delicacy. We eat them all the time. You get them at the corner store, right at the cash register. So corner stores in Quebec are called dépanneurs, deps, right? You don't say corner store or the bodega. You say you're going to the dep. And the cheese curds are right at the cash, warm. They're not refrigerated because they're fresh from that day. And that's the perfect snack for a Québécois or Québécoise person. I love eating them. We're also an island, and we focus very much so on arts and culture and music festivals. We have music festivals in the winter, in the summertime, pretty much all year round. It's a really big part of our sort of identity as Montrealers to always be up to something, doing something. We're the safest city in Canada, which is really useful for young students who are leaving home for the first time. Parents can rest easy knowing that it is a very safe city. I've lived here for 13 years, for the most part alone, without roommates. As a woman, I feel incredibly safe, and it's one of the big reasons as to why I've stayed here for so long. And we're also the #1 student city in Canada. We have excellent public transportation. You don't need a car in this city. We all take the bus or the metro. For myself, I actually bike all year round, or I walk. So I very, very rarely try to take public transport. I'd prefer to use my bicycle. It's a lot more fun to navigate a city on a bike. We have lots of bike lanes, which automobilists hate in Montreal. But bikers reign. So we are an island, as a matter of fact. On our campus, the language that's most spoken, of course, is English. But this map of Montreal just gives you an idea of the languages spoken in Montreal. So for Montreal, the northwest, east-south is not true. It's not the real northwest, east-south for the rest of the globe. So Montreal West, which is the orange, is actually called the West Island. It's the most Anglophone part of Montreal that you'll find, whereas the east side of Montreal is Montréal Est, is primarily Francophone, so everything in blue. And in the middle, where all of the universities are found, where most people live and work, all different types of languages are spoken. Everybody will say, as I'm sure you've noticed, bonjour, hi. That's just commonplace for us. As a bilingual person, I just choose whichever one I feel like for that day. And if English is your preferred language, then that's perfectly fine. On our campus, 30% of our students are from outside of Canada. So I would say almost half are from Quebec, but that's solely because the majority of our applicants are from the province of Quebec, right? So there's no quota at McGill when we're admitting students. We don't look at citizenship or residency status, and we'll talk about that later. We're just looking at your grades, truly. Consistently for at least the last 3 decades, 30% of our students have been from overseas. So lots of different languages are spoken on campus. Students can find a small part of their culture here on campus. If they're homesick or they're experiencing culture shock, it's really easy to dampen the effects of those things on our campus because there's so many resources available for our international students, whether it's through clubs or services offered by McGill staff. Students feel very much at home here, and we can talk about that further. I'm not going to dwell too much on this because as somebody who's worked in higher education for the last 10 years, I don't think rankings should be the focus of where you choose to go. Where you choose to go should focus on, do you like the city that the university is in? Will you be able to find your community and friends at the university? Are the resources that you need as a student who maybe is dyslexic or neurodivergent or comes from a really big family and wants to feel surrounded all the time? Does the university have those things available to you? When I chose to come to McGill, it was because of many things, namely my parents went here, it was in a city that I loved, and it was really close to home. So McGill has a lot more to offer than what's on the screen here, which I hope is how you feel as well. This is a map of the underground city. If you've ever heard of the underground city in Montreal, it's huge. I think it's the biggest one in Canada / North America, perhaps. It's really just a series of malls and food courts underground. So McGill's campus has actually a second campus in a town called Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue. Can I just see by show of hands who is aware of this second campus? Oh, most of you. Okay, wonderful. I'm so pleased, pleasantly surprised. So our MAC campus is about a 40-minute commute from the downtown campus, and it's only for our students who are studying in agriculture and environmental sciences, or nutrition and dietetics, or the Beeler School of Environment and Bioresource Engineering. So the two campuses are quite different, I would say. Downtown is humongous. It's where 38,000 of our students attend school every day, and you'll get to experience a lot of what you're seeing on the screen here. This is where I get to work every day. It's amazing. The architecture is stunning, state-of-the-art labs. This is a classroom that our engineering students would be in, for example. In the wintertime, it's not loading. This is Lower Field, actually, which you'll see today, where you find the hot dog guy. I encourage you to get a hot dog from Hot Dog Guy. Lower Field is where our engineering students actually build a skating rink every winter for the entire McGill community to use. And Montreal is known for its public skating rinks. We have tons of them. We love to be outside, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, skating. It's a really big part of our culture, being outside Montreal in the winter or in the summertime, I promise you. We're always doing something. As a matter of fact, growing up in Quebec, in gym class in elementary school, we would snowshoe. That was our outdoor winter activity for gym, physical education, which I loved personally. MAC campus is humongous. It's on 600 acres of land. It's home to about 2,000 students. We have dorms there as well. MAC campus has a live farm for all of our students who are studying in animal health and disease. We also have a MAC market, which is a student-run farmers market. All of the produce that's grown on the campus is grown by students, and then all of the produce in the cafeterias downtown in the dorms, so all of the residences, and you'll get to visit them today, all of that produce for everything that's local is grown at MAC. So you are eating every day food that's been grown by your fellow students, your peers, which I think is such a cool part of the McGill community. So 4 dorms, I encourage you to go visit them, please. There's 2 that you get to see today, one of them in the upper res, and then Citadelle. One is a traditional dorm style up the hill, and Citadelle is a modern dorm style, so it's a hotel that McGill has transformed into a residence hall. So we have 9 downtown at our downtown campus. The farthest one away is New Res. It's a 10-minute walk from campus. The closest one is Royal Victoria College. It's a 30-second walk. It's actually just down the street from this building here, and that's where I lived. But it's where I found, I met all my friends in the first week, and all these years later, we're still, I promise you, we're still best friends. The McGill residence offers something that I think is really unique, and in Canada, dorms are not always the way for universities. We don't always live in a dorm. We often will choose to actually live in an apartment, but you have the opportunity to experience this wonderful thing at McGill, living in the dorms with people from all over the world. I come from a really small part of Quebec where it's a very homogenous place, let's say. And then suddenly I came to the dorms, and the 2 girls opposite of me in my hallway were also mixed, also Canadian students who were only children and had never really ventured outside of their mother's home, and we bonded immediately. And then I also had students on my floor who were from Singapore or Turkey or Ireland, from all over the world, and those friends are still very dear to me to this day. It's a really smooth transition from living with your family at home far away to coming to a new environment without your family. Some students get on an airplane and fly to Montreal without their family, and they arrive alone on campus. It's really scary and so commendable that an 18-year-old or a 17-year-old can do that. But living in the dorms will, I guess, give you a little bit of a cushion. You get to eat in the cafeterias. The meal plan is robust. No student goes hungry ever. You get different residences to choose from. On your application, you'll be able to select if you would like to live in the dorms. As long as you say yes, a spot is guaranteed for you. The dorms are only for first-year students, so first-year students will not be living with students who are older, right? So everybody is experiencing the same thing for the first time. McGill Res. I would do it again in a heartbeat if I had to do it over, I promise. But you'll get to experience them and see them for yourself today. So you'll get to see the traditional dorm style in the upper res. These are typically single room dorms, okay? So you get a fridge, a desk, a bed, a closet. And then you share a bathroom with the students on your floor, okay? Sometimes the floors are gendered, sometimes they're not. You get used to this. For me, I wanted a single room. I did not want to share a room with somebody, a stranger, because that was my personal choice. As I said, I'm an only child. I wasn't about to ruin my dream school my first year. So I chose a single room, and that worked for me. Whereas some students prefer to live in the modern dorm style where you get a roommate, yes, and they pair you with somebody that you will ideally get along with. You have to fill out a whole personality quiz, but you get a private bathroom. These are renovated. You get a flat screen TV. You get air conditioning, okay? These ones, we didn't have air conditioning. And as cold as it is right now, it's hot in August when you guys move in. I'm telling you, it's hot. But that was a sacrifice I was willing to make. But the modern dorm styles are super nice and clean and pristine. You'll see. It's a different vibe entirely. And then we do have the apartment style dorms, and these are essentially townhouses, so duplexes that McGill has purchased on the border of campus that are significantly more affordable, where there is no meal plan. So you're in a house with maybe 3 to 4 other students. You all get your own room, but then you share the kitchen and living room. So it's really apartment style living, but your landlord is McGill University. It's more affordable. It has a lot more independent living style. You'll have to do your own groceries, but it is an option, especially for students who really maybe don't jive with the dorm living, which is totally understandable. The apartment style may be a better option for you. If you do want to look for an apartment, especially after your first year, you're not going to live in res after that. Student Housing and Hospitality Services can help you find an apartment, navigate what it's like to sign a lease in Quebec. There's only one type of lease. Learn certain policies in Quebec that we have. Student Housing will help you navigate all of these new and foreign rules, I would say. So use their services. The resources exist at McGill. I encourage you to use them. Okay, so research opportunities, I'll touch on this briefly. It's really organic. So at McGill, I urge you to go to your professor's office hours, get to know your prof, get to know your teaching assistants, get to know your profs, go to the office hours, ask for opportunities, look into the research that your professors are doing and see if it speaks to you. And if it does, go and ask them if there are opportunities in the lab or if they're looking for contributing student writers for an upcoming publication, right? That's how you get those opportunities for research at McGill. Internships are huge at McGill. Most students, especially in the faculties of engineering, business, and science, will have an internship opportunity, more so than a co-op. Every faculty at McGill has an internship advisor, an internship office, and they'll help you figure out where you want to do your internship. You can do it here in Montreal. You can go back home. You can go to New York City if you want to. They'll help you apply, prepare for the interview, hopefully land that job, but typically only in the summertime. Student clubs and services on campus, there are over 250. There's a club for everyone. We have the largest Model UN chapter than any other university, which is really cool. We have a wonderful, fantastic, super bright team of engineers and computer scientists who run the robotics club at McGill. We have a lot of clubs like the Engineering Student Society, who is primarily fundraising on campus. So they run open air pub in the fall and in the spring to fund the rest of their activities throughout the year. Lots of opportunities for students to get involved. I would say McGill students are some of the top in their graduating class, and then you get to campus and everybody is just as smart as you. And how do you sort of balance that life? Well, you get involved in sports or student politics or clubs on campus. It's a very, very lively, active campus. And if you'd like to go on exchange, I encourage you to do so. I never did, and I will regret it forever. Thankfully, my job has me travel all the time. But we're partnered with over 100 universities in about 39 countries. You can go away for 1 semester or 2. Strongly encourage you to do so. And if you would like to learn French, there are lots of opportunities for you to do that. You can take a French class, and it's offered at a lower tuition rate. It's offered actually at the Quebec tuition rate. So when I was talking earlier about what resources on campus does your university offer, this is what I'm talking about. So career planning services, international student services, they will also be here today for you guys to ask questions about applying for a study permit and what that's like, okay? Your study permit is probably the second most important thing after submitting your application to McGill. Don't delay. Scholarships and student aid. The Student Wellness Hub is referring to the health clinic, the psychologists, and the psychiatrists on campus as well. So these are all of the programs that are available downtown campus, so pretty much everything, whereas MAC has agriculture, environmental science, bioresource, nutrition, etc. Okay? So if you are part of anything on the list of downtown campus, you will likely never have a class at our Mac campus. This is a super important slide. I encourage you to take a photo and include the QR code in the photo when you take it. So everything on this list, so here, right, is a major. The bullet points are faculties. Multiple majors are offered in more than one faculty. And when you apply to McGill, you get 2 program choices. And this is super useful for students who are undecided in what they want to pursue. Do I want to do chemical engineering, or do I want to do microbiology and immunology, right? Or I'm a student who wants to study economics, but economics is available in the Faculty of Management, where you require math in high school, really strong math. Whereas economics is also offered in the Faculty of Arts. We don't require math as a prerequisite. So when you're applying to McGill and econ is your dream major, apply to management and to arts. If you get into both programs, choose which one you want. Maybe you won't get into management, but you'll get into arts. They're essentially identical, minus the fact that the management program will have business courses. But same goes for everything on this list. So comp sci, computer science, is offered in arts and in science. So is math. Psychology is probably the most desired major from high school students ever, right? You can do it in 3 different faculties at McGill. So this is super important, especially because you can apply to 2 programs at McGill. This is also an important slide, so I will just mention, again, dentistry, medicine, and law. There's no direct admission out of high school for you guys, okay? So you must complete a bachelor's degree before you can apply to medicine, dentistry, or law. If you're applying to arts, management, or agriculture, you apply undeclared. You apply undeclared. You want economics as your major or psych as your major, that's fine. You'll decide that once you get to campus. But you're going to apply to the faculty. You're admitted to every program under that faculty's umbrella. Whereas for science, you pick a group. If you want microbiology, you're going to apply to the biological, biomedical, life sci. If I want to study chemistry, I'm going to apply to the physical, earth, math, computer science, okay? And then we also have the Bachelor of Arts and Science, whereas the rest of these programs here, education, engineering, music, and nursing, you apply specifically to the major. So if you want to study secondary education in history, you apply to that program. You want bioengineering, you apply to that program. We don't have a general engineering program, and then you get to focus. You pick it as soon as you're applying. For admission requirements, this is for everyone, no matter where you're from, where you were born, where you're currently studying, if your parents went to McGill. We look at the curriculum that you're studying, so French Bac, IB, A-levels, national curriculum, wherever you're studying, okay? If you're doing the Canadian high school diploma abroad, that's your basis of admission. And then, of course, the prerequisites according to what program you're applying to. If I'm applying to business, I need math and English. If I'm applying to engineering, I need usually math, chemistry, and physics, for example. We're not looking at your citizenship or your residency status, so a Canadian student versus an Egyptian student versus an American student, they're all looked at the same way. We don't ask for recommendation letters, extracurricular activities. Everything we're talking about today is on our website. It is, in fact, your best tool. Requirements, deadlines, etc., is on the McGill admissions website. If you Google McGill apply, you'll find it. The application is open now. So everybody that's in their last year of high school or you're taking a gap year, you can apply as of now. The deadline is January 15th, okay? Even if you're Canadian and you're studying in Oman, doesn't matter. Your deadline is January 15th. And all we need from you by that deadline is the 2 programs you would like to apply to, or 1. Your name, your date of birth, the name of your school, that's it. It takes 20 minutes. You submit your application, you pay. Then you'll have access to your student portal, your applicant portal. Then you upload all your transcripts. So that's step 2. Step 1 is tell us what you want to apply to by the 15th of January. And make sure to tell us that you would like to live in the dorms, because then you're guaranteed a spot. Then after that, you get to upload your transcripts, and you'll have to provide proof of English proficiency. Not everybody will. We'll discuss it. By March 1st. So of course, for grade 12 students or students in their last year of high school, we need to see at least a first term or first trimester, first semester of grade 12. And so that's why you have until March 1st to upload your documents. And that's it. That's as simple as that. We don't need anything extra. For scholarships, you're automatically considered for the $3,000 automatic non-renewable one, just based on your grades. The major entrance scholarship, as international students, the maximum you can receive per year is 10,000 Canadian. It's renewable. So as long as you keep your GPA up, you'll continue to get it every year at McGill. This requires, yes, your grades, but also extracurriculars. We're looking for leadership experience, really, and then reference letters. So that's when all that extra wonderful, amazing stuff that you guys do outside of class time comes in handy for the scholarship application. I encourage you to apply for the scholarship. You do that after you've submitted your application to McGill. This is a hard deadline, January 21st, 1 week after the application deadline. That's a hard deadline. Okay, this application takes time. I always tell students, have your best friend, your favorite teacher, your mom and dad review your scholarship application to make sure it's the strongest application you can put forward. Okay, it's competitive, I will say, for sure. Before I get into this, I also wanted to say, in terms of the application for admission, there's also no first choice, second choice. So if I apply to chemical engineering and the Faculty of Arts, because I'm unsure, we're looking at them completely separately from one another, and you'll get 2 decisions. So we're not looking at the Chem-Eng application and thinking, well, how serious could the student be if they're also applying to the Faculty of Arts? They can't be that serious about engineering. That's not how we look at it. You are allowed to have nuance in your interests for your education, okay? Apply to whichever programs you wish. There is no first choice, second choice. It's just choice. That's it. Okay, can I see, by show of hands, who's doing the IB program? The IB diploma, full diploma. Okay. Who's doing French bac français? Who's doing A-levels? Okay. Who is doing an American high school diploma outside of Canada and the US? Okay. What about a Canadian high school diploma outside Canada and the US? Nobody. And then national curriculum, if you're from a country and you're pursuing that curriculum, okay? Good. Good to know. So I'm going to cover this really quickly for the sake of time. So if you're doing the national curriculum, we're going to ask you to upload the last four years of high school, your transcripts, okay? So grades 9, 10, 11, and then whatever you have for 12. Proof of English proficiency. I'm hearing some whispers. I'm assuming it's because of this here. The scholarship consideration is insanely high. This is not what the requirements are for admission. Generally for scholarships, yes, that's what it is, okay? It's about a 97% average. If you're doing the IB, it's about a 41 out of 42. If you're doing French bac, I believe it's like an 18 out of 20. If you're doing the IB, we're not looking at TOK or extended essay. We're just looking at predicted scores out of 42. Please note the math note on the right-hand side here. We do not accept standard level AI math for any programs at McGill that require math. If you're applying to business and you're taking standard level AI math, you're not eligible, okay? So we'll accept HLAI or either one of the AAs, okay? And all of this information, like take photos if you want to with the QR code. This is all on the internet. This is not a secret. So French bac, most of you guys are doing the French bac. We're going to look at your bulletin from première and terminale, but chances are you're going to have to upload seconde and première. And then we will wait for you to have your results from your premier trimestre de terminale, okay? And then that's it, that's all we look at. It's really, really important for French bac students to look at the requirements that are at the QR code because we require specific spécialité for according to which program you want to pursue at McGill. So for some programs, we require spécialité maths and spécialité physique chimie, at least in première, but you also need to take spécialité maths in terminale. For example, these are cut and dry, hard and fast rules. If you do not meet the specific requirement for that program, you are not eligible. The same way I talked about the IB math, same for a French bac student who is missing a specific spécialité for a program, you are not eligible for that program, unfortunately, which is why all the majors that come from different faculties comes in handy because sometimes students aren't eligible for the program according to whatever they've done in high school, okay? If you have questions, we can talk about it. For A-level students, we're going to look at your IGCSEs or your GCSEs onward or O-level onward. Normally for A-level students, we want to see 3 subjects in 3 different disciplines. Further math does not constitute a separate subject from math, okay? And we're looking at your predicted score, of course. There's no specific grade required for your IGCSEs. We're just looking to see the subjects that you were taking. And if you were doing, relatively well, or if there was some improvement, that's great too. It's a guideline. It doesn't mean that that's what it's going to be this year when you guys are applying, but it is, it gives you a general idea. Let's say we're looking for 16 out of 20 for French bac for a particular program. okay? And you have 15.5, apply. Maybe you're an IB student and last year the lowest we went to was a 37 out of 42 predicted, and you have a 35, apply. Maybe we'll go down this year. Maybe you have a 38 and last year was a 37, but this year it goes up, right? It's according to the applicant pool for each academic cycle, right? That's what determines how low we go. We start, to put it very simply, we take the students with the highest marks and we work our way down. That's really what it is. Don't be discouraged or overly confident by what's listed on the website. You never know. Apply. Proof of English proficiency, we just need the minimum requirement. So, for example, the IELTS is an overall 6.5 with a 6 in each section. If you score higher, that doesn't help you. We just need the minimum, okay? And they must come directly from the exam board, wherever you wrote them, okay? So let's say you write the TOEFL. We have to get the results directly from TOEFL. So you'll call them or submit a web form online, say, please send my results to McGill, and they will automatically be matched with your application, okay? The only thing that you guys can upload is your transcripts. Same for SAT scores or AP exam results. You call the College Board to have your results sent in, okay? So cost, and then we'll go to a quick Q&A for those of you who can stay. Need-based, so this is not a scholarship. This is a need-based financial aid program offered at McGill. This is an application that's available to you once you've been accepted to McGill. It's based not on your grades or anything else, just on your family's financial situation. If you are in need of financial assistance, I encourage you to apply for the entrance bursary. It goes up to $20,000. It's a lot for a first year. And then after you are, enrolled and on campus, the scholarships and financial aid opportunities are extremely robust on campus. So it goes well beyond just what you're available to apply to as you're coming out of high school. There's so much more money available to you once you're on campus, from your faculty, from the Central Student Aid Office, from the scholarships office. I got my whole third-year tuition paid for from the scholarships office. For the cost of tuition, the QR code brings you to our tuition fee calculator. It'll tell you exactly for which program you're pursuing, your residency status, either you're Quebec, Canadian, or international. We'll also have the section for students who are French passport holders or French Belgians. You also get a different tuition rate. Everything is listed here, but it will vary anywhere between $36,000 to $73,000 for an international student, non-French, non-Belgian. Okay, $36,000 would be agriculture, environmental science, education, kinesiology, programs like that. An arts degree is about $45,000. A science or engineering degree is about $66,000. Business is $73,000 per year. 2 students living together in the student neighborhood, which is called Milton Park. Okay, you'll probably pay each $700, so $1,400 a month for a very nice, charming, full of character apartment within 5-minute walking distance of campus, where you have laundry in the basement, where you do it with your other tenants, and utilities included. And then I'll just point a few things out. McGill admissions, you can follow us on Instagram. Lots of super useful information, webinars that we give us recruiters. We're always giving webinars, or we're traveling to your country. I just came off a 6-week trip in the Middle East and Turkey, okay? I just got back on Thursday. We're always somewhere, and oftentimes it's to your school. This is the rest of the schedule for the day. I encourage you to go to International Student Services to talk to them. Scholarships and Student Aid are here as well, and our admissions officers too. And you can meet your academic advisors from your faculty as well. If you want to talk to somebody who will be the person guiding you as in your science degree, by all means, go and talk to them today.